Hello, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and I finally got a tender for that locomotive I was taking apart down there, and I've taken it apart a little just to understand how everything works. Essentially, what you got is you got the what's that bloody 1.5 volt C's. This thing takes 6 of these. So that'll be 6. Because it's 1.5, so that'll be, because it's 1.5. Well, you know what? You do the math. But I've noticed it's very poor soldering. Yeah, wow. Wow. Very poor soldering. Holy hell. And this here is the phase unit, the control switch. It's very interesting. I've not seen anything quite like this. As you can see, it's got the wires going into it from the cable here. But really, all in all this is that I'm just noticing it's got blue wire coming here, blue wire here, blue wire to this one, and then it's got red coming off of here and then the blue coming to here. So, okay, that's interesting. So you got, say, Meganus that goes to here, flows through here, flows through, flows out again, and then goes to here and then goes back out. So you have an input-output, and then that goes to the 2 plugs here via the socketry here. But on the engine over there, it only has the negative and minus points. Like, hang on, if I just grab it. By the way, you're probably wondering why I haven't updated install. It's mostly because I caught COVID over the whole week. Isn't that great? One of my mates got fucking COVID. That's great too. Because I didn't bother telling anyone, because I didn't think I had it, because I thought it was just a minor cold. Just goes to show you, even if it's a minor cold, go get tested. It's not worth the risk. Oh god, slowly dying. But no, you can see here, with the wiring, it goes from here to the motor, via these 2 points, and then of course I've got the other parts over there sitting in that tub just above the CL. So that essentially means that there's possibly the reason why it needs so many bloody batteries is to run both the motor, the whistle unit, and then that essentially just goes up, blowing air out to a little tube that goes up to the funnel that burns oil. That oil then condenses into smoke, and then the air from here blows up through the tube that go through the funnel. Which is just like, at that point, why don't you just make the funnel out of die cast? Yeah, sure, it's expensive, I know. But with either option, whether or not you use just like the regular plastic heating unit when you pour the oil into it, won't make any difference. Because over time, that will heat up and it will warp the plastic funnel, regardless. So the only option you have is to make it die cast. In fact, I'm annoyed that the whole thing is not die cast and it's made out of plastic. But the fact that it's made out of plastic is what makes it so cheap. Or at least so you think. With a lot of proper, quote-unquote, garden gauge or gauge 1 models, a lot of them use plastic parts, and a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them, are overpriced to buggery. Steam engines, for example, went into a store. It was Ozrail. I love that store. Do not get me wrong. I truly treasure that store out near Parafield. In fact, I implore people to go there for their first train sets that they want to start, purely for the fact that they have a lot of cheap stuff. That and probably Junction models located at Jepp's Cross, which is amazing as well. But, moving on. This tender, this whole phase system, you could easily take this all out. You easily could do that. In fact, what I might do is that because I have a remote somewhere for my more modern version of an Echo Steam Loco like this, what I could do is get a receiver, hook that up to this, get a battery for it. Doesn't even have to be a high voltage battery, nothing. Probably keep the plug, keep like a stay alive system, something like that. Keep the battery in here, take out this god-awful battery system, take off this god-awful wood, quote-unquote wood, probably keep the sides, because you can probably use those, and then take out, this and replace it with actual wood, and that would probably take some time, but still, I have the tools, I have the resources to do so, and I will do it when I get the time to. Other than that, I think the best option here is to, if I'm being completely honest, see what makes this thing here tick, rewire the whole thing, get it to be wireless so you can control it via remote, via a signal. Once that's done, obviously you just turn a switch on, it sends the power to it. It then goes, okay, well, I now need to wait for the signal to come through on the remote controller to tell me when to go, when not to go, or when to go in reverse or forward, or stop at all. Once that's done, press the forward button on the remote, and then off it goes. Or if you want it to go backwards, you press the remote back again, and it goes backwards. That is a much simpler system than what this had. But then again, this is like 1990s technology we're talking about here, or very early 2000s. Other than that, I just thought I'd make an update because I thought that would be very interesting. And another thing is that what I really wanted to do was try and actually split this open to actually see the motor, because it's making this awful clanking noise, or clicking noise whenever it, moves. Now, I've seen an awful lot of videos of these things making that awful clacking noise whenever it runs. Turns out it's supposed to make that noise. It's like British cars, it's like them. They idle, in the UK, a lot of British cars idle at a very high temperature for no other reason than the fact that, because it gets really cold there, they need to start at a high temperature. Even though my solution is just set a fire underneath it and you'll be okay. Hey, if the Germans did it, it'll work for you. But no, I think this is going to be a very interesting project. Also, another thing I noticed is that these wheels, they have these things here. They're not exactly fixed to the axles at the side, which slightly bothers me, but it's for articulation, so I can't really be mad. I like to imagine their whole thought process behind this system was, oh dear, we've made the curves too, small, that the actual engine and the rolling stock can't actually get around it, so we have to give the wheels a little bit more mobility. Which, funnily enough, I guess they couldn't bloody do when they actually made one of their other, famous kits. I remember there was what was it? It was a 242 black steam engine. It was a little stubby thing, like a sort of giant silver front with two headlights sticking out the sides of it. And that thing would never go around corners on its own train set, right? So it makes me think that the whole thought process on that was like, oh yeah, we'll just make a new engine for it. We're going to bother testing it? No, of course not. That would be the sensible option. But then again, if you purchase like these garden scale locos, they can either be ridiculously cheap because people think they're absolutely garbage, which they are, and let's be real, they should be priced that way, or people think they're so amazing that they price them at ridiculous numbers like $200 to $500, maybe even $1,000, maybe $3,000, maybe $5,000. And here's the thing. People think, oh, man, that's like the price of a small car. Well, you wouldn't be wrong, but I've seen models go for like nearly $6,000 to $12,000. Can you imagine for a second spending literally a car's worth of money on something you'll only get a minimum amount of enjoyment out of, right? And even then, it's only like a few minutes. You paid nearly 6 to 12 grand for something. And not even that. That's not even taking into consideration the track. Or the track itself, like G-scale track, proper stuff that's brass, nickel, silver. Or just brass track, or like that. That alone, like a single strip that's going from this bed to that other side of the bed, past these two pillows, that's just like a single straight section. It's like $80 to $120. At what price? At what reason? Oh, good God. And even the points, they're worse. Or the curves. Mind you, though, you can get flexi-track these days, where you just build the base of your layout, then you get some cork after drawing the outline of where you want the track to go. You put the cork bed down, you then put the track over it, and then you put the pins in to hold it in without damaging the base of the table that you're using, or the wood or whatever. And even then, you are going to have to spend something to the tune of maybe a bare minimum of $6,000 to $10,000. Maybe even over that. Maybe it's like $6,000 to $12,000. You're going to have to spend the minimum for that in HO. In HO scale, or even 00 scale. But with garden scale and scale 1 and O scale, it becomes absolutely ridiculous. You need to spend the budget of like a third world country just to build a layout. Because here's the thing, right? It's a hobby. I get it. People have enjoyment out of their hobby. It's just a black hole where you can just throw every bit of cash you have into it. And here's the thing, the quality is not going to get any better because you're not advocating for it. What you're advocating for is, it truly isn't like an inferior product. Keep in mind, though, Hornby and like manufacturers, most model manufacturers these days, I mean, shit, even Athearn, a company that was known for selling easy-to-assemble model kits and just easily assembled engines for real cheap, and I mean cheap as in below $100 mark, right? Most of their stuff now is selling for like way more than it should be worth. But people see a value in it. They really do. And here's the thing, it sells. It sells because people are just dumb. It truly frustrates me. It really does. Because for someone like me, my age bracket, right, spending as much as I have already, I know what I've spent on this. I know what I've spent on all of this. I do. And it shocks me. In fact, when I tallied up the amount of money I actually spent on all of the models I've purchased over for like the past 5 years that I've been a model railroader, it actually made me spit my tea out when I was having it at breakfast. And I'm just thinking to myself, holy shit, I need to slow down. And I need to start working on the stuff that I already have, which I am. And trust me, there's a lot less of a burn in my wallet because of it. But another problem is that sometimes you actually need to buy stuff to get spare parts. And the only way you can get spare parts is by buying stuff that people think is worth a shitload of money. And that's a problem. Because it's It's not worth anything, mostly because the manufacturer, if they really wanted to and there was enough demand for it, would just manufacture the new parts, like, new old stock, and just send it out. And then it would completely devalue the items. So when you're buying models, or quote-unquote toy trains, you've got to know what's going on in the market. It is incredibly non-friendly to any person that comes into it. You are expected to pay up front the bare minimum with no negotiating, because the people that have already poured, like the people that actually run the businesses that sell models, have already poured everything they have into that business, so they need to get returned before they literally cark it and die and go into a casket. Good God. At that point, right, at this point, you might as well just go save up, go to a TAFE course, learn how to be a turner and fitter, and be done. Too bad I didn't do that. I chose the stupid option. Ah, good God. Either way, I shall see you people again at some point in the future, and hopefully I'll have recovered from this whole COVID fiasco. Other than that, take care, have fun, stay alive, stay safe, and enjoy yourselves. Alright, take it easy, lads and ladesses.